guys, and welcome back to my channel. The case that I'm going to be looking into today is the case of Jackie Vandagriff. It's a case of what's thought to be wrong place, wrong time. Sadly, you know, it happens all too often these days, and it's just awful. But there you go. Let's jump straight in. Jackie Vandagriff was born on the 4th of March in 1992. She lived in Denton, which is in Dallas of Fort Worth, Texas. Now, she was a lovely little child, you know, she was bubbly, bouncy, and then growing up into a woman, she was just such an amazing young woman. She was very intelligent as well. Very make friends with everyone kind of thing, you know, there was never any... She'd walk into a room and she was very, very social. And so if there was anyone there that she would just go and talk to them, basically. She knew what she wanted to do in life. She was studying in university in nutrition. And this was at Texas Women's University. Women's University? Probably women's, right? Yeah, okay. But yeah, she was studying. She was really passionate about nutrition, and it was something that she's come across in life that she's realized was very, very important. And so she wanted to do everything she could to help anyone else in that aspect, and that is what she wanted to do for her career. Like I said, she had all these big plans. She knew exactly where she was going, what she wanted to do. She was a very lovely young woman, and she just cared for everyone, would try and go out of her way to help people. She also adored animals, was like a massive animal rights activist thing. I'm going to move a bit back, actually. Maybe I'm too close. What about that? Let's try that. This light... Oh, God. I moved something. This light sucks. Just... It's really big, and then I look dead shiny and white, and... Okay, whatever. Let's carry on. Now, because she was at university, she also decided that uni's expensive. You know, she needed a part-time job, like many people do. So what she would do is go around looking around the bars, because bar work's quite a, you know, common job, and there's also normally sometimes needing a lot of staff, and so that's what she was going to go. She was going around the bars asking if they needed any part-time workers. Which led us to the events of the 13th of September in 2016. Jackie walks into the Street Fry Public House, in which she's asking for a job. You know, she goes up to the bartender, she's questioning about a job. And this is where she meets a guy in there. He's already in there. He's sat having a drink. We'll get more into that in a little bit, and the reasons, potential reasons behind why this guy was there at that time. I think he'd been there for over an hour at that point, and he's sat having a drink, and he notices Jackie, and he starts chatting to Jackie. Jackie, very social, very friendly. Raina! No. Raina, no. Do you know what I have to cope with, guys? My cat is currently on top of my monitor. No. Hey. Come on. No. No, no. Yeah, no. You're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to do that. See? All innocent like butter wouldn't melt. Let's show your face. Okay, we'll go then, but you can't climb on there. Sorry about that. There she goes. So anyway, this guy, she starts chatting to him, and he was sat like 2 stools over. He comes over and they're having a chat. They're having a drink together, because why not? You know, what's the harm in that? She's chatting to the bartender as well, and the bartender, and sort of they're like a trio, and they're all having drinks, all having a chat and whatnot. And then they decide that after I don't know how long it is, to be honest, but they're going to go to a different bar, because they're going to carry on the night. They're having real good fun together, and so why not? So they do that. These 3 people leave together. And this is all on CCTV camera as well. So they were picked up at this bar, and more people joined them. There wasn't just the 3 anymore. there was like 5 or 6 of them, I believe, all sat around the bar, all having a conversation and chatting to each other, which is normal for Jackie. But slowly they start dissipating. The bartender goes, the others go. At one point, this man who was with Jackie, he ends up passing his card over to one of the girls, which is also shown on CCTV because he's a fitness, what are they called? I'm not sure. Trainer? PT? Personal trainer? Personal trainer? Yeah, I think that's it. He's one of them. And so she was interested in fitness, and so he passes his card over. You know, the night's just going like normal, but slowly these people all leave, and then he offers, it was raining, so he decides to offer Jackie a lift home, which she accepted. She's thinking, it's raining, it's only down the road, we've been together all night, everything's been fine, he's a very nice guy, what could go wrong? Well, sadly, a lot can go wrong, and not in any way am I obviously putting any blame on Jackie. This is all on this person. It's not on her whatsoever. But, you know, it's just really heartbreaking when you look back at it and just everything that happened after that. But yeah, let's carry on anyway. Next morning, a call comes in to the police, and it is about 6:30-ish in the morning. There is a fire out in some brush, and there's something very wrong with this fire. Because when the actual fire department go out there to put it out, it's the fire department, not the police. I don't know, whatever. Emergency services, you know what I mean. Just ignore that ding. Yeah, they go out and they find this, the most disturbing discovery that anyone could ever find inside of what you assume would be just a normal fire. They find a swimming pool. So, you know, like a paddling pool, like the blow-up paddling pools. They find that on fire. Well, it was on fire, I guess now they've put it out. And inside it are human remains. There's a body in there. At the time, the body was so badly charred that they didn't even have a clue whether this person, poor victim, was male, female, adult, child. They had no idea. So obviously all this stuff they've got to try and figure out. And not only that, the remains had been dismembered and they were in separate plastic bags. So that's just even worse. Like, it went from an innocent sort of fire to just complete horror, honestly. Now, of course, the real sad thing is, not that it won't be sad anyway, but as you well know, and we're talking about Jackie, as her friends knew her, yeah, these remains sadly were found out to be that of Jackie. Later on, they confirmed with fingerprints. At the time, nobody knew that Jackie were even missing, but then the university did put out a missing persons report on Jackie because she'd not come back and people were worried. So they did put out a missing persons report, and then obviously police was thinking maybe this could be her, match the fingerprints to Jackie, and sadly it was Jackie. So, what on earth happened? She was out looking for a job, having a drink with a guy. Well, not that they knew this at the time, but then, you know, goes home with him, and the next day she's no longer here. She's been horrifically, brutally butchered and burnt. And so what the hell happened in between? Well, we're gonna find out, of course. Also, when the police started looking into things, they got witnesses, and apparently somebody had actually seen this person who set the fire. They'd seen them jump into a white van and then drive away. Well, I don't know whether it was a van, actually, just a white vehicle. They'd managed to get this person's license plate, and so they gave that over to the police. The police looked into whomever this was. They were also scanning through CCTV and trying to track Jackie's last whereabouts, of course, and they had found the CCTV in the bar, that this man, so this was kind of sort of coinciding, I suppose. She was with this man, she left with this man, so what on earth happened? He was the last one to see her. Who is this man? They spoke to the other, managed to track down the other women who were with her at the time too. And as I told you, one of them took the card off of him. So she was able to give that, and they were able to get his ID from that. And then of course they matched it with the car and everything as well. And it was all coming back as the same person. And this man's name was Charles Byron. And boy, does he have a history with the police, let me tell you. And his story... So this story is primarily about Jackie, but also features heavily another aspect of Charles's life, another victim in his life, because she was a victim. Not in the same sense that Jackie was, thankfully, but still a victim of Charles's, because he had a colourful history with the police of basically stalking. Yeah, stalking behaviour. Anyway, let me just tell you a bit about Charles. Like I said, he was a personal trainer. He would often post pictures of himself promoting himself on Facebook, topless and stuff like that. He had, you know, some nice abs going on. He had tattoos and people thought he was a desirable guy, which is what 18-year-old Caitlin thought too. I believe at this time that he met Caitlin, Caitlin had just sort of finished school and whatnot. She was 18 years old and she met him. He was 29, I think. If I'm wrong, please put that in the comments and correct me, but I'm pretty sure I heard that he was 29. So yeah, he's like a bit older than her, you know, like 9 years older than her. But anyway, she was working at this bar or something, a restaurant bar, as a server, and he walks in and she again, she thinks he's a nice guy. He plays off that he's a nice guy, like they always do, sadly. He's got nice abs, he's got a nice body, he's not bad looking, not my type, but there you go. He's got tattoos, and obviously that kind of, the abs and whatnot, she was like, oh, who is this guy? So they got to talking, and eventually they did begin dating. Pretty much, she was smitten with him at first. He was a lovely guy, you know, that's what he played off to be. But the real personality began shining through. Like, they can't hide it forever. Charles was becoming very obsessive over her, very controlling, wanted to always be around her. You know, he was emitting behaviour that you don't want in a partner. Very, what's the word? Clingy as well? Yeah, clingy. But at first she was excited, everything was fine, and then she starts seeing these things and all these red flags are flying up in her head. Her mother's telling her, you know, be careful with him, feel like he's going to hurt you, this, that and the other. So anyway, Caitlin does decide that she is going to break up with him. They didn't date for long. It was like 2-3 months, something. No. Maybe 1 or 2 months, actually. I'm not entirely sure. But Charles did not take it well. She actually went to like a university, so moved sort of away, and then Charles would turn up at a campus, and this is after she split up with him as well. So obviously this scared her too. Yeah, so Charles ended up turning up at her campus numerous occasions. He was constantly barraging her with messages and things, and she was just like, just leave me alone. On one occasion, he turned up outside of her door and she literally hid in her roommate's closet because she was scared of him at this point, because she's ended it and he's still coming and he's still saying I love you and giving her flowers and writing her these notes and everything. So she blocked him on all the socials and everything she could, but then he'd just make a new account and try and contact her again, kind of thing. He got arrested twice over this. There was a police officer that was really looking after Caitlin, who was very worried for her and was basically like, I'll do everything in my power to help you out with him because he's not right. He's certainly not right. On one occasion, he was caught in the elevator. He was caught on CCTV in the elevator going up to a room and stuff. And then she called the police after he did the room thing and she was hiding in the closet. They arrested him on that occasion and then like released him or whatever. I don't know what happened. But 10 minutes later, he was back on the campus again. That's how like persistent he was, and he was in running gear. Don't know whether he just wanted to run past a window and be like, hey, look at me, all sexy. I don't get it. But they pulled him over and they were like, do you actually live on this campus? And he's like, no. So yeah, they arrested him a couple of times on that, and Caitlin was very scared of him, and I can't blame her. She got a new job probably close to where her university was. He turned up there on her first day. He walks in the restaurant and she's like absolutely crapping herself. She asked the owner of the restaurant, or whomever it was, or the manager, to try and keep him away because he's stalking her at this point, you know. And the manager stroke owner, whatever, said they can't really do that. I don't know why. Just kick him back out, but there you go. So she had to leave that job. She literally had to leave that job because she didn't feel safe there, because Charles kept turning up and they couldn't stop him. So she went back to another job where she'd have to drive, like her old job where she'd have to drive to get there. Oh, and her new colleagues at that new job actually said that he turned up the day before looking for her too. So, yeah. Very, very frightening stuff, and not at all good. None of it. She ends up getting a restraining order against him and like a protective order. All of this is going on before he even met Jackie. And then the bar that he actually met Jackie at turns out to be a bar that Caitlin had mentioned quite a few times that she wanted to go up and wanted to socialise at and meet new people at. And let me tell you, this was right on the edge of how far the restraining order was. So was he just sat in that bar hoping that Caitlin would come in? Probably, because of everything else he's done. It's not a massive stretch. He left flowers at a door and wrote all these 2-page love letter. When he got arrested, he made a new account and managed to message her again and said, oh, he posted bail on getting out, $5,000 bail, and he got himself out as well. That's what happened. And he left her he sent her a message after that then saying like, I wanted to bring the love of my life flowers and now here I am with a criminal record or something along those lines. Honestly, he was just very persistent and very obsessive. It was as if like if he couldn't have Caitlin, he didn't want anyone to have them, and that's a lot of stalking does end with the victim being attacked, which is absolutely heartbreaking. But everyone knows that, you know, it escalates, it gets worse. If this person doesn't end up stopping, it gets worse. And it seemed like it was, well, the police and everyone were doing everything they could to try and keep him away, basically. But if arresting him on numerous occasions didn't stop him, what would? Yeah. So anyway, this is why they believe that he... What? What? What's so weird? This is why they believe that he was actually at the bar when Jackie walked through the door. Now, it has also been said that Jackie may have had a slight resemblance to Caitlin, his ex-girlfriend. I'll put pictures up so you can be the judge of that yourself. You know, whether that was the case or not, I don't know. We probably never will know. But what we do know is that Charles attacked Jackie for one reason or another. So, all this time, right, he's popped up in the records of the police. Everything's pointing to him. They are still scrolling through the CCTV and whatnot. They actually see, after they left the bar to take Jackie home, he went to a gas station, I believe, or something along those lines. And you can see Jackie sat in the car. People have said she looks terrified. Personally, I don't think she does. She just looks like she's messing around in a bag. But that's the last footage you ever see of Jackie alive. Because after that, the next CCTV that's caught is of Charles at like 4 a.m. in a store buying a shovel. Why on earth would you need a shovel at 4 a.m, Charles? Who knows? Weird. And then obviously like 2.5 hours later, they found the burning corpse of Jackie. Suspicious, right? So basically they had a conversation with Charles. He denied ever meeting Jackie, but then they throw the CCTV at him and they're like, well, let me show you this because that's you and that's her. Oh, okay, yeah, I think I had a drink at the bar with her, so immediately changed his story. But he didn't do anything else. That was it. You know, he may have seen her at the bar, and that's that. Then they're showing him the CCTV of him, like, taking her home and stuff. All of these things. But they didn't have any proof that he had done anything. He's denying it. Yada, yada, yada. So they couldn't keep him. But then when police officers from the Jackie investigation get in touch with, like, other police officers about Charles, like the one that was protecting Caitlin, he says, well, I have some evidence that could get him off of the streets. Because he as part of his like restraining order, he was not allowed to contact Caitlin in any way possible, but he'd also managed to contact her after Jackie's murder, after he'd killed Jackie, a few times, sending him all these pictures and stuff, and it was from Charles. And so they had that evidence, and that was violating the restraining order, which would allow them to arrest him, which is what they did. The police did use that, and then they sort of re-interviewed him again. And they brought in big guns who were very much used to this kind of person. People genuinely thought that he could have turned into a serial killer. And he could have done. He definitely could have done. You guys can make up your own minds on that, obviously. But that's the kind of guy that they brought in to interrogate him, because they were just getting nothing from Charles. And so they thought they'd try a different tactic. Eventually, he admitted to sort of doing some things with Jackie. He admitted to having sex. Said that it got... Although he didn't actually admit to murder, he admitted to, like, accidental death, which a lot of these cases happen like that because they just want to get out of it. They don't want to admit what they did. And if it was an accident, then it was an accident. But there's a lot of things that make it you think that it's definitely not an accident, and we'll go inside in a sec. But there you go. He's saying it's an accident, right? They were having sex in the car, rough sex. She wanted him to tie this really thick zip tie around her neck. Why did he have a zip tie in his car in the first place? Like a really thick one, and then whatever. You know, could be innocent. Who knows? So yeah, tie it around her neck, and he didn't tighten it, and nor did she. But somehow it must have snagged on something and gotten tighter. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. And then in the zip tie, they did find Jackie's hair. So Jackie's hair was stuck to it. So they knew that had definitely been around her. While they're doing all these interviews, they're searching his home as well, because they managed to get a warrant for that. And they find, like, Jackie's bag. They find her DNA, like, everywhere. They also found that the pool that her body was found in, that was burnt, the blue thing, that was in his back garden once over. Not anymore, of course, because he put it out and put her body in and burnt it. But yeah, that was there once. I believe that they found a taser. I'm sure I've heard that or read that somewhere. Now, if I'm wrong, I apologise at this, but I think in the back of my brain there's something that's telling me that there was a taser and it had Jackie's DNA on it. I'm pretty sure. So he probably tased her. Yeah. So anyway, this interview continues, and the person interviewing him is trying to get him to see him as a friend. They're sharing pizza together, all sorts, and just to try and get him to trust him so that he would open up about Jackie, obviously. Because some people have still said that he potentially could be innocent as well, because they say there's no actual evidence, like physical evidence that he did this to Jackie, but everything adds up to him. So yeah, basically they had all this evidence, and none of it really showed that he did this by accident. Because for starters, so he accidentally choked her to death by the thing snagging on someone and choking her, and then she was dead, right? So what does he think to do? He doesn't think to call the ambulance or call the police, or like any normal, sane person would. Obviously, you'd be terrified. I'm not saying that you wouldn't be. If you had accidentally caused someone to die, you're going to be terrified and think you're going to go to jail. But no matter what, you call the police, you sort it all out, and you tell them everything that happened, and there you go. Whatever happens, happens after that. But yeah, he took her body home, I suppose. Cut her into pieces, put them pieces in black bags. Not only did he cut her to pieces, a gruesome fact of this case, he actually cut out her heart as well. Seriously. So yeah, he then proceeded to cut out her heart, put all of poor Jackie's remains into bags, wrap that all up in his swimming pool, cart that off into the frickin' woods, or whatever, and then burn it all because he wanted to get rid of the evidence. Does that sound like an accidental death to you? No, certainly not. So anyway, they managed to arrest Charles with all the evidence that they had, all the CCTV, all the DNA, her bag. just everything. There was so much of it. They also found tweets. It was quite a quiet town, so where this actually happened, people was just so gobsmacked. They said that nothing ever happens there. And then this happened. It was just dumbfounding. Caitlin heard about it, of course, because she lived in that area. And at the time, she didn't know it was Charles, but the officer who was looking after Caitlin rang her up because he knew that Charles was the main suspect in this, and literally said to her, are you safe right now? And she's like, is this something to do with Charles and that girl that's murdered? And he's like, I can't tell you, but are you safe right now? And she's like, I think so. So yeah, he was worried about her and about Charles potentially going after her, which he could have done. You know, if he knew that he was going to get caught, he'd been getting away with it for a couple of days, and he figured he was going to get caught, then he could have just gone after Caitlin, because everyone thinks that Caitlin was his main target, but poor Jackie was in the wrong place at the wrong time and just came along, and he thought, you know, she looks similar to her, I'm going to take out all my frustration on her and murder her. I don't know, I don't understand these people. Nor do a lot of you, I suppose. Which is a good thing. Anyway, at the trial, Caitlin was not allowed to testify because stuff like that can sway the jury. And I get it, but it's why he was arrested so many times. It's part of his life, and it does explain what potentially happened to Jackie as well. It could be the motive as to why he did it, but they couldn't really do that because they refused to let Caitlin testify. Either way, he was found guilty of Jacqueline's murder. This was 2 years later, 16th of April. It bugs me how long these trials take sometimes, right? I'm waiting on the Delphi case trial. They just keep delaying it. It's really annoying, but yeah, anyway. So he was found guilty and he was sentenced to 30 years in prison. And yeah, he never really admitted to it. He basically said that all the evidence points to me. I don't remember doing it, but it must have been me. Yada, yada, yada. At the trial, he then went back to the accidental death story because he figured that would work, which of course it didn't, thank goodness. And Caitlin is just so thankful to still be here. And when she went in to look up Jackie, because hearing that Charles had done this to her, she was mortified, obviously, heartbroken. Because she'd got a warning about Charles with dating him for a little bit, and poor Jackie wasn't even dating him. She just met him at a bar and thought he was a nice guy and let him take her home, kind of thing. But they never got that far. So yeah, she actually looked up Jackie and realised that she was already friends with her on Facebook. And do you know why that is? Because Charles freaking friend requested her from Jackie's phone like the day after he killed her. Absolutely insane. So Caitlin was still on his mind then and used this poor woman's phone who he had brutally murdered to contact her. Yeah, and I think that it came out, they managed to find that she had multiple like stab wounds to the chest, Jackie, and like head injuries as well, which, you know, she went through so much before he actually murdered her. It's just, it's not even worth thinking about. It's awful. And then he did post on her social media as well after that, like, I can't remember what it said. I'll find the picture and I'll put it up. Before this as well, another point, Jackie posted this herself, which fully breaks my heart, because after meeting Charles and chatting to him, she actually put a post up. Something along the lines of, glad I came off Tinder and actually walked to a bar myself. Because obviously she'd met this guy she thought was really nice and was having a good time with him. And that really breaks my heart, because I myself am not a massive fan of Tinder. I know relationships have come off that and they work brilliant, and I'm not judging anyone or anyone that uses it and anyone who likes it. Personally, I just don't. And I always think, you know, like, you don't really know them. It's safer to meet them face to face, but it's not. It's genuinely not. Dating out there is just absolutely nuts. Like, you don't know who you're going to be with. You don't know what they're going to be like. And it's a scary minefield out there. So whether you're on online dating or freaking person-to-person dating, it's awful. So yeah, I guess the moral of my little rant is stay alone forever. No, I'm only joking. But yeah, all of this information, everything that happened to Jackie, just utterly devastating. She was out looking for a job, and this dude just killed her. Why? Nobody knows why. Well, they've got the inklings, obviously, but he's never admitted to it, so he's never given a full motive, and he never admitted to the possible motive of, was it something to do with Caitlyn? You know, he never admitted to that. So yeah, absolutely devastating. But that is the end of this case. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for similar content, and that is all I have today on the case of Jacqueline Vandagriff. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye.